In this video, I will be listing some all-time great quarterbacks and their individual accolades. So when I say accolades, I'm not talking about team awards like championships. Championships do not determine how great a player is. I'm talking individual awards, like what did they do individually that makes them a great player? How many MVPs? How many All-Pro selections? How many Pro Bowls? How many Offensive Player of the Year awards? Rookie of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, stuff like that. Team awards are like championships. Those are won as a team. Because who's to say, okay, just because you won one championship here does not mean you can go to another place and win it. So it's always based on who you have around you, the players you have around you. Because you have quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls, but they are not better than other quarterbacks who have not won Super Bowl. So, starting off, we're going to look at Warren Moon. Warren Moon didn't have any MVPs, any All-Pro selections, but he did have 9 Pro Bowl selections, and he won an Offensive Player of the Year award. I don't like how high the interception is to the passing touchdown. But I never really realized that Warren Moon had almost 50,000 passing yards. But those are Warren Moon's. Those are the accolades that I have for Warren Moon. Also, he got... Next on the list, I have Cam Newton. You may not like Cam Newton. Some people may not like Cam Newton. But Cam Newton was able to get some accolades while he was still in the NFL. And I know some people are like, oh, well, why is he here NFL right now? If you go look at the people that was drafted in the same draft as Cam Newton, there are not many of them that's still left in the NFL. And the ones that are way past their prime, and they've been on multiple teams in the past few years. But anyway, Cam Newton has 1 MVP, 1 All-Pro selection, Rookie of the Year, and multiple Pro Bowls. So Cam Newton was definitely that dude. Next, we going back in time, we got Johnny Unitas. This dude had 5 All-Pro selections, 3 MVPs, 40,000 yards. Again, same with Warren Moon. I don't like the touchdown to interception ratio, but now I usually don't. If they played before like the 60s in the NFL, I really don't judge them like that, but I couldn't just dismiss what Johnny Unitas did. So next, we got Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is already a top 10 quarterback of all time. In what, 5 years? Because Patrick Mahomes came, 2018 maybe? 17, 18, something. So it's like 5 or 6 years. But he already has 2 MVPs, 2 All-Pro selections, 5 Pro Bowl selections. So it's 6 years because his rookie year, he came off the bench. And he already got 2 Super Bowl. Like, Patrick Mahomes is just that dude. Already a top, I think, 7 quarterback. Next after him, I got Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner started late. You remember, Kurt Warner was like old when he started playing in the NFL. But he was also able to get 2 MVPs, 2 All-Pro selections. He won a Super Bowl. He went to 3 Super Bowls. I'm surprised he didn't get Comeback Player of the Year. But what he did, if you look at, him making it to the Super Bowl in 2009 and him making it in 2001 and 99, then I got Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw had 1 MVP, 1 All-Pro selection, 3 Pro Bowls. And again, the touchdown, I feel the touchdown interception should at least be 2-1. It can't be like 1-1 like this. But Terry Bradshaw played on those steel curtain defensive team of the Steelers in the 70s, but he ended up with 4 Super Bowls. Next, my favorite quarterback of all time, John Elway. I'm going to be honest, even though John Elway is my favorite quarterback of all time, John Elway should not have won that MVP, and what was that, 87 or something like that? That should have either went to Joe Montana or Jerry Rice. Then he had 9 Pro Bowl selections. I'm surprised he had 0 All-Pros, but 300 passing touchdowns. But again, the interceptions are just way too high, but he did have 51,000 passing yards. Then we got Steve Young. I did not know Steve Young had 2 MVPs and 3 All-Pro selections, Offensive Player of the Year, 7 Pro Bowls. And you got to think, He spent a lot of time sitting behind Joe Montana, and he was still able to get these numbers because he started out in Tampa Bay for some years. Then he went to San Francisco to sit behind Joe Montana and still look at the career that Steve Young had as a total. Then you got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has the second most MVPs for a quarterback. 4 MVPs, 4 All-Pro selections, 10-time Pro Bowler. He got 1 Super Bowl. Now, if you want to talk about passing touchdowns to interception ratio, Aaron Rodgers is the person you should look at. That's 4-to-1 ratio with 475 to 105. So Aaron Rodgers as an individual quarterback, you may not like his personality, but Aaron Rodgers is that dude. The next person I have, Brett Favre. Brett Favre got 3 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pro selections, 11 Pro Bowls, Offensive Player of the Year. Brett Favre was like the first one with like the passing touchdowns, the passing yards, where it was like that high to where Peyton and Brady had to try to break it, and Drew Brees where they had to try to break it. Think about that, 71,000 yards was crazy during that time. And that stood for a while. Next, we got Joe Montana. Joe Montana, 3. Now look at this. If you remember Steve Young's numbers, that's how much work Steve Young put in, because his numbers are almost identical to Joe Montana's, and he had to sit for a while. He got 2 MVPs, 3 All-Pros, and 7 and 8 Pro Bowl selections. Remember, Young has 7 Pro Bowls, so he's basically all right there with Joe Montana. Then after Joe Montana, I have Drew Brees. Drew Brees has 80,000 passing yards. His touchdown to interception ratio was great. He wasn't really probably going to win MVP playing against Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, but hey, 13 Pro Bowl selections. He did get Offensive Player of the Year twice and Comeback Player of the Year once. So, but people for some reason never mentioned Drew Brees as a top 10 quarterback. Drew Brees is right up there. And after Drew Brees, I got Dan Marino. Dan Marino was the original one with all the passing yards and stuff. He got 1 MVP, 3 All-Pro selections, 9 Pro Bowl selections, 1 Offensive Rookie of the Year, 61,000 yards. And he was throwing the ball in the 80, because remember, the 85 Bears only lost 1 game. Guess who that game was against? A young Dan Marino in his second year. He threw for on that Monday night, I think he threw 4 touchdowns against that defense. The next one I have is Tom Brady. No disrespect to Tom Brady, he has the 7 Super Bowls. But if we talking about accolades, individual awards that should determine a player's greatness, Tom Brady, it's some quarterbacks on this list that have better accolades than Tom Brady. Like, you telling me in 22 years, Tom Brady only got MVP 3 times, but he the GOAT? 3 All-Pro, 89,000. I wish Tom Brady would have came back to get 90,000 yards. That's crazy. But you got to think about that. All those years, and he still don't have as many accolades as some of the other quarterbacks on this list. And last, I have the person who I feel is the greatest quarterback of all time. But because if we talking about the greatest, you're talking about individual statistics and individual accolades, nobody has better accolades than Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning got 5 MVPs, 7 All-Pro. All-Pro is who they think is the best player at that position. Peyton Manning got 7 of those as a quarterback. 14 Pro Bowl selections, Offensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year 1 time. He didn't get Rookie of the Year because that's when Randy Moss just blew the world away, and he got Rookie of the Year. But if we going by individual quarterbacks, for me, I feel like Peyton Manning got to be the GOAT. We're not talking about who played on better teams, and that's why they have championships. I'm talking about individual player, reading the defense, throwing the deep ball, throwing the underneath, all that. Running the offense. Peyton Manning got to be the greatest of all time at that. ProFootballReference.com has this thing on their website where they rank a player's Hall of Fame, where they monitor a player's ability to get in the Hall of Fame based off points. And it takes in consideration your stats, your touchdowns, passing touchdowns. It goes for different positions. So you got running backs, quarterbacks, kickers, linebackers. They go by different positions. They go by how many All-Pros, Pro Bowls, championships, yards, touchdowns. They go by all of that. Up until Tom Brady won his 7th. So as you can see, you got Tom Brady. If we're going by a Hall of Fame monitor, like your chances of getting into the Hall of Fame, the number-wise, you got Tom Brady at 263.03. You got Peyton Manning at 257.80. Aaron Rodgers 192.43. Prior to Tom Brady winning his 7th Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, it was only one player that was above him as far as quarterbacks ranked for the Hall of Fame. It took Tom Brady, and by this time, Tom Brady had already won 6 rings. So with all that being put into the system, it still had Tom Brady as number 2 all time as Hall of Fame quarterbacks. It wasn't until he won his 7th ring with Tampa Bay that helped push him over the top to get number 1. So even with 6 Super Bowls at the time, the computer, with all the accolades and the stats put in, the computer had Peyton Manning as the number 1 quarterback in the Hall of Fame, going off all of his stats and accolades. And it wasn't until Tom Brady finally got his 7th ring that pushed him over the top. So all I'm saying is, if you go judge a player's greatness, I'm not saying Tom Brady is not a great quarterback. I just don't feel like he's the GOAT, because you look at, he played 22 years, and in those 22 years, he played with a top 10 defense like 18 years. Peyton Manning played 17 years and had a top 10 defense like 7 or 8 times. So, like, again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Brady. I just don't like whenever somebody say Brady the GOAT and you ask them why, their only answer is, well, he got 7 rings. But you don't do that for Bill. Tom Brady is the only person you do that for. Nobody ever says Bill Russell is the greatest basketball player of all time. And when you do say, well, he played against 6'5" white guys, he didn't have any competition, it was only 8 teams. Well, common sense would tell you, if it's only 8 teams, then that means those teams play each other a lot. So you should be able to beat some of those teams. I would rather you say Bill Russell had a better overall team than everybody else, because he did have like John Havlicek and Casey Jones and Sam Jones and all of them, rather than you just say, oh, well, he played against 6'5" white guys, there were only 8 teams and blah, 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 blah. Because nobody ever talks about Brady only scoring 13 points both times against the Rams in the Super Bowl. He scored 14 and 17 points against the Giants in the Super Bowl. Everybody always talks about the comeback that he had against the Falcons, but never asked yourself, why was they down 20? Why did he only have 3 points at halftime? Why were they down 21-3 at halftime? The Patriots defense only gave up 3 touchdowns that entire game. Remember, Brady threw the pick 6. That's what made it 21-3. And then Atlanta scored another touchdown in third quarter, made it 28-3. But in the totality of that entire game, the Patriots defense only gave up 3 touchdowns. You never talk about how if the Patriots defense don't sack Matt Ryan and take them out of field goal range, that Brady never even gets the ball back with a chance to go down and tie the game. But anyway, this has been my video of quarterbacks and their individual accolades. I just don't base a player's greatness off how many championships they won. Trent Dilfer has a championship and Dan Marino doesn't. Does that mean Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson are better quarterbacks than Dan Marino? No. But anyway, thanks for watching. More videos coming soon. Trey T out. Peace.